Hello, I'm Mike and this is Will. We are the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And we're bringing you issue 40 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine today. This issue came with 5 Chaos Terminators, the extra unit for our Chaos Combat Patrol, so you can see them in action in today's game. And also in this video we'll be looking at the collection up to this point. So, because the Terminators are spread across only one issue, there's not actually going to be a lot of lore to go through. We just have the build and paint guide for the Terminators. So for the build guide, this is a full multi-part kit, so you will get some choices, but this is the loadout for Combat Patrol. That's the one we were going for. If you follow the build guide, you'll end up with one with an accursed weapon and a combi bolter, 2 with power fists and combi bolters, 1 with a chain fist and a combi bolter, and 1 with a Reaper autocannon and power fist. Building the champion first, you can see he's got his sword and combi bolter. And then a lot of the parts are interchangeable, like the heads, the trophy racks and the shoulder pads, so you can kind of mix and match however you want. The champion himself does have a slightly more ornate trophy rack and left shoulder pad, and also he has an option for an unhelmeted head. The next one built is the one with the chain fist, although I believe you might have an option for putting it on a different pose. And the arms do have notches so that they line up, you can tell when they're in the right position and you can actually get them properly pointing the guns. And then you've got the other poses. Again, they go together fairly simply. One of these is one you can put the chain fist on instead if you prefer that look. And finally, the Reaper autocannon. Then the painting guide. Painting them is the Black Legion style. So Abaddon black, base coat, lead belcher for all the metal parts and chains on the skulls and the spikes on their trophy racks. And there are also some hydraulics on the back of their legs, and there is an awful lot of trim like the other Chaos. You've got to block in all that gold, so take your time. And their tabards in red, also their eyes, the hilt of the champion's sword, and it does say to paint one of the helmets red, but you can paint them however you want, as it will suggest in a bit. And then some Khajiit flesh for the fur around their waists or on their shoulder pads. And the spikes on their trophy racks are actually made out of wood. You want that in brown as well. And also some leather straps holding on skulls. You've got Wraithbone for the champion's head if you went for unhelmeted. And then all of the many skulls all over them and other bones. And it suggests some other Space Marine chapters you can go for. So from a Crag Blue for Ultramarines or Avalon Sunset for Imperial Fists. But it suggests that if you have a friend who plays Space Marines, you should paint it in their colours instead. To have a bit of narrative and playful banter. And then once all those base colours are done, you can start shading, so normal for all the silver and red bits, as well as the dark brown parts, and then Agrex Earth Shade for all the bones and skulls, and Reichland Flesh Shade for all the gold trim, and the champion's head as well if he hasn't got his helmet on. And now they're up to this point, so there's still a few more details to do, particularly if you have the trophy racks with the Imperial Guardsmen heads on. You haven't been told to paint them, but obviously they'll be coming up. And there's just their collection article where you can give them a unit a name, give them a little bit of background. Chaos Terminators are very similar to their Loyalist counterparts, clad in the tactical dreadnought armour, or this is heavily corrupted, and they tend to be particularly powerful champions of Chaos who have earned this armour, usually by taking it from its previous owner. And on the next side is their datasheet, but I'll leave that for Will to go over, as we'll have a look at the collection up to this point. So here you can see the collection up to this point, showing the 4 combat patrols, not showing any other paints or anything. We have had more train cards, but again, there's not an awful lot to look at, so we won't show those. So we're mostly interested in just the models. Now at the back you can see the Space Marines and the Tyranids. We haven't had anything new for them. If you'd like to have a closer look at them, you can see issue 20 where we did a closer look. When we look at our 2 new combat patrols, first up we have the Aeldari. So in the front we have the Farseer next to the Guardian Defenders with their weapon platform, and then the 6 Wind Riders and the Wraithlaw. That is the full Aeldari combat patrol with the Wraith Guard in front as the extra unit. And then for our Chaos Space Marine Combat Patrol, we have the Dark Apostle with his 2 Dark Disciples, 10 Chaos Legionaries, 5 Havocs, and the Hellbrute. Again, the full Chaos Space Marine Combat Patrol. And then their extra unit is the unit of 5 Terminators, which are debuting in this issue. And again, if you want a closer look at the Space Marine and Tyranid Combat Patrols, go and have a look at issue 20. And I'll hand you over to Will, and he'll take us into today's game.
So we've got the datasheet for our new Chaos Terminator squad, and these are pretty much identical to the Loyalist Space Marine Terminator squad. Their profile is exactly the same, with a 5-inch move, toughness 5, 2+ save, 3 wounds, 6+ leadership, and an OC1. It doesn't say, but they should have a 4+ invulnerable save as well. I think there's just been an accident when transferring the datasheet to Combat Patrol that they should have that invulnerable save. We'll certainly play it as such, because that's almost certainly a mistake. I don't know why they'd remove that. Their weapons are also very similar to their Loyalist counterparts. 4 of them have combi bolters, which are are exactly the same as the Storm Bolters, being rapid fire 2 with 2 shots, hitting on 3, strength 4, no AP, 1 damage, and a 24-inch range. But rather than an assault cannon, they have a Reaper autocannon instead on one model, which is a 36-inch range, 4 shots, they hit on 3s, strength 7, AP -1 and 1 damage, with devastating wounds and sustained hits 1. The Champion has an accursed weapon, which is the same as a power sword. 3 of them have power fists, which are again the same as the normal Space Marine ones, but one model instead has a chain fist, which also has 3 attacks like a power fist that are strength 8, AP -2 and 2 damage, but it hits on 4s rather than 3s, but it has anti-vehicle 3+, so it's better at carving apart vehicle models. And unfortunately they don't have any special rules. They have the faction rule Dark Pacts, but they don't have Deep Strike like the Loyalist ones would, so they have to walk onto the battlefield. And to include them in Combat Patrol, as it says underneath their weapons, you replace the Havocs from the Chaos Space Marines Combat Patrol with the Chaos Terminators. And we do have a special mission to introduce the Terminators, but before that we have another Combat Patrol mission. The third one we've got, this one's called Forward Outpost. The board is set up like this. The deployment zones are on the short edges, 12 inches away from the middle, and there are 4 objectives, which are set up in a diamond pattern around the centre, 2 8 inches away towards the long edges, and 2 16 inches away towards each short edge, ending up in the player's deployment zones. There's a mission rule called Sabotage Enemy Comms, so at the end of each player's turn, if the player whose turn it is controls the objective marker in their opponent's deployment zone, then until the end of the battle, their opponent cannot use the command reroll stratagem, so taking that objective once removes that option. The primary objective is Vital Ground, so in the second, third and fourth battle rounds at the end of each player's command phase, you score to a maximum of 15 victory points, 5 victory points for each objective marker in No Man's Land, or 10 victory points for the objective marker in the opponent's deployment zone, nothing for your own objective, and in the fifth battle round, the player with the second turn scores at the end of their turn instead of in their command phase. And then on the back, as usual, there's a matrix where you can record the outcome of every time you play this mission with all the different combat patrols as both attacker and defender. And then we have our scenario, Chaotic Ambush, where an Aeldari patrol is hurrying to the site of a crashed Aeldari ship, but when they get there they find a small force of Chaos Space Marines. However, thinking they outmatch them, they commit to the attack, but the Chaos Space Marines have a surprise in mind. So there are deployment zones along the short edges, covering a quarter of the board each. There are 2 terrain areas in the centre of the board, as marked here, and 3 objectives, 1, 2 and 3, down the centre line between the 2 long edges. The Aeldari player has 5 Wraithguard, 10 Guardian Defenders with a heavy weapons platform and the Farseer, and the Chaos Space Marines have the 10 Legionaries, the Dark Apostle with the 2 Dark Disciples, and 5 new Terminators. The Chaos Space Marine player, it says places their units in their deployment zone, although as we'll see in a second, that actually means only the Legionaries and the Dark Apostle, because the Chaos Terminators arrive during the Chaos Space Marines player's second command phase being deployed in their deployment zone, not at the start of the game. All of the Aeldari players' units are set up in their deployment zone, and then each player selects a terrain card and places it in the terrain area further away from them. And victory points are scored at the end of each player's command phase for controlling 1 or more objective markers, scoring 5, and another 5 if they control more objective markers than the opponent. And then as usual we have the victory outcomes on the next page, or what happens if it's a draw. So as usual you can have a look at those and see which one you would like to happen before we get everything set up and get into the game. So here we have set up the board and deployed the models, at least the ones that are starting on the board. You can see objectives 1, 2 and 3 in a line down the centre, the Aeldari on the left, Chaos Space Marines on the right, and we also deployed a piece of terrain each. So Mike deployed the cargo container in front of my Guardians, and I deployed a crater near the Legionaries near objective 3. So the Aeldari deployment, we've got the Wraithguard on the left and the Guardians on the right, with the Farseer. And the Chaos Space Marines on the other end.
Yeah, I'm going to go for one big unit of Legionaries because the objectives are close enough together that I can easily contest 2 of them with 1 unit, and I'll get the most out of the Dark Apostle that way.
And it doesn't say who goes first, so we'll be rolling off as usual. 2 for the Aeldari and a 5 for Chaos. So we'll be on to Chaos Space Marines turn 1. And I rolled for my Fate dice. We didn't use them in the previous game because it's not technically a full combat patrol game, but we had a comment about it, so I thought we might as well use them here. So this was the result. A few ones, but otherwise a decent roll, so I decided to keep it.
So I think we're going to take a slightly more cautious approach. I could advance and move up to take 2 objectives, but I think I want to try and thin out some of the Guardians and limit the amount of shots coming at me. So we'll go to the shooting phase. We're just going to shoot the Guardians with everything that's in range. It's just going to be the bolt guns and the heavy bolter, I think. So we've got 8 bolt gun shots hitting on 3s, 5 hits wounding on 3s, 4 wounds with no AP.
Yeah, most of the Guardians are behind a box from that point of view, and so we will take some saves. We lose 2.
The heavy bolter is 3 shots hitting on 4s. Wins on a 3 as well. It does. Save -1.
4+ with cover. Nope, another Guardian down. I think I'll re-roll it though, because that command point isn't needed for anything else this turn. Passed. But that'll be it. Nothing else to be done. On to Aeldari turn 1. So moving up, I'm also not going to be too aggressive because there's a big unit of Terminators about to turn up, and also I don't really want to get charged by an entire unit of Chaos Legionaries with the Dark Apostle. So the Wraith Guard are moving ahead of the Guardians, who are going to hang back slightly. I failed to get Fortune off, I rolled a 1 for it, unfortunately. But then we'll be on to the shooting phase. I'll shoot with the Guardians first, because there are 2 Dark Disciples who can absorb Wraith Guard shots.
I'm going to spend a command point to go to ground, so I'll get cover and a 6+ invulnerable save.
So we have 16 shots from Shuriken Catapults, hitting on 3s. 11 hits, wounding on 4s. Get all in the box. Only 4 wounds.
So I'll take these on the Dark Disciples, just because they're expendable, and they've got 4+ invulnerable saves. So one of them dies, and then he's still alive, and the last wound, he dies.
Star Cannon next, 2 shots hitting on 3s. They both hit. They wound on 2s because they are strength 8. Oh, 1 failed, so 1 at -3.
Oh, everyone's got cover, so deal 5+ save, or go for one of the bolt gunners at the back.
So 1 dies.
Yep, 2 damage.
An Eldritch Storm gets d6 plus 2 shots because it is a blast weapon. That's 3. I might actually re-roll that. 5. Hitting on 3s. No, only 2. And wounding on 3s. 1.
So 4+ save. Saved.
And then we have 5 Wraith Guard Wraith Cannons, which hit on 4s. 3 hits. Remember, I can't use any fake dice on these. And they wound on 2s. So it's a strength 14, 3 wounds at -4.
We have 6+ invulnerable saves. So bolt gunners. Oh, we made 1.
Minimum damage is 2, so 2 die. And that'll be it for Aeldari turn 1. On to Chaos Space Marines turn 2. So in the Chaos Command phase, our new Terminators turn up, so you can have a look at them here in the Red Corsairs colour scheme.
So just going to move up normally. Marines are moving up ahead, and the Terminators do get to move because they turned up in my command phase rather than the end of the movement phase, which they would if they had deep striked in. So just heading towards the Aeldari. In the shooting phase, I think we'll start with the Terminators just to show them off, and they'll just put everything into the Guardians.
And the Guardians are going to go to ground as well, just so the whole unit has cover.
Yeah, and we've got 8 shots with combi bolters and 3s. Ugh, 3 hits. 3s to wound, 2 wounds, no AP.
I think I'll use this 3 fake die to pass one of them, and then roll the other one, which failed.
Rethrow auto cannon, 4 shots on 3s, 6s are sustained. Oh, so we got a sustained, so that's 5 hits. Strength 7, so 2, 6s are devastating. So that's 4 wounds, well 1 devastating and then 3 wounds at -1.
So we'll use a 4 fate die to pass another, and then 2 more on 4s, since we all have cover, or made those. So just 1 devastating kills another Guardian.
And then with the squad of Marines, bolt pistols, plasma pistol, unsupercharged bolt gun and heavy bolter into the Guardians, melter gun into the Wraith Guard. So I'll roll the bolt pistols and the bolter together, because the Dark Apostle has the same stats as the Marines. These 6 shots hitting on 3s, 3 hits wounding on 3s, only 1, no AP.
3+ save with cover, fine.
Plasma pistol non-supercharged, hits, wounds on a 2, it does, it's -2.
5+ save with cover, failed, another one dead.
The heavy bolter, no, misses, because it moved. Oh, and the melter gun hits, strength 8, so 3s, doesn't wound. You know what, I will re-roll that. Wounds, that's -4.
So a 6+ save, because I have a 2+ base. Oh, I made it.
So in the charge phase, the Legionaries are going to charge the Wraith Guard. And 9 is definitely enough. So their charge is going to go like that, and I've charged in such a way that so that this chap here, when he piles in, he can actually go and bring in the Guardians as well. So he'll pile in. This guy with the chainsaw will try and chop off a few Guardians, while everyone else will fight the Wraith Guard. So we've got 3 guys with close combat weapons who are hitting on 3s. 7 hits, strength 4, so normally it'd be wounding on 5s, but we've got the Dark Apostle, so it goes down to 4s. That's 4 wounds so far.
2+ saves on these, take a wound so far.
2 chain swords on the Wraith Guard, again on 3s and 4s. That's 1 wound at -1.
3 to save, saved.
I'll do the Dark Apostle's Crozius now, because it's 2 damage, so you might kill off that wounded one. 5 attacks on 2s, they all hit. Strength 6, so 4s goes to 3s to wound. They all wound at -1.
3s on these. Oh, I made them all.
Never mind then. And then the accursed weapon on the Marine Champion. 4 attacks on 3s, 4s again. 1 wound at -2.
4 to save. That does another damage.
4 attacks on the Guardians on 3s, they all hit. Strength 4, so 3s normally goes to 2s. That's 4 wounds at -1.
So I use one of these 5s to save, and then 3 more on 5s. Save another one, so 2 dead. And I'll do the Guardians fighting back. We'll start with the Farseer. 2 attacks on 2s. They both hit. 5s to wound, but I use 1 fate die to automatically do it, and then a second one fails, so 1 wound at no AP.
3+ save, failed. I'll re-roll that. Still failed. So we'll lose a Marine.
And the Guardian's got 1 wound.
3+ save, made it.
And then the Wraith Guard have 3 attacks each, so 15 hitting on 4. 7 hits, wounding on 3s. 4 wounds at no AP.
4 3+ saves. Ooh, failed 2, so we will lose another Marine. I'm actually going to have to lose one of the chainswords off the end of the unit because I need to incoherency and I want to keep both units engaged for the next turn.
And that does actually allow me to consolidate the Wraith Guard who was on the end around the back of one of the Chaos Marines and actually get him on objective 3. So I'll hold that at the start of my next turn, although the Melter Gun Marine is on objective 2, so it's 1 objective apiece as we head into Aeldari turn 2. Fortune was successful, I put it on the Wraith Guard and the Guardians have to take a battle shock test at leadership 6, which they pass. So I do gain 5 victory points because I have 1 objective, but that's not more than the opponent. And then the Guardians have fallen back behind the cargo container where they're outside the Terminators, and the Wraith Guard with Fortune on them are going to remain engaged in melee, where there won't be any shooting because my only unit that has a pistol fell back, and then we'll just be straight to melee, where the Chaos Marines get to fight the Wraith Guard first because it's not their turn.
I'm not going to pile in the Melter Gun Marine because I need him to hold objective 2. So we've got 3 attacks with a close combat weapon on 3s, that hit. Back to 5s to wound now because +1 for the Apostle is counteracted by Fortune. Still got a wound. Okay.
2+, made it.
We have 2 chainswords again. Wounded on 5s. Another one at -1.
3, yes.
Cursed weapon. Hits 4 times. He's also wounded on 5, so that's 1 wound at -2.
4, made it.
And finally the Dark Apostle hits 4 times. Wounding on 4s now. 2 wounds at -1.
3s. Oh, we failed one, and I can't re-roll or use a fate die, so that does take out the injured Wraith Guard. And the Wraith Guard will punch back. Only 12 attacks on 4s now. Only 4 hits, wounding on 3s. 3 wounds.
3+ saves. Failed 1. Might as well re-roll it. We're okay.
So that's the state of the board at the end of Aeldari turn 2. On to Chaos turn 3.
We're going to fall back from the Wraith Guard with the Marines to consolidate on objective 2, while the Terminators move up and hopefully take their place and take control of objective 3. Yeah, I got 5 victory points as well, holding objective 2. So just the Terminators to shoot, and we'll just put everything into the Wraith Guard and hopefully chip away at them. Well, might as well do the bolt guns first. Got quite a few shots hitting on 3s. Well, we got 8. I think that was better than last time. Wounding on 6s though, because of Fortune.
1 wound, 2+, we're fine.
And then the auto cannon, 4 shots on 3s. So I got a miss but a sustain, so that's 4 hits. Strength 7, would normally wound on 3s, goes to 4s. We got a wound at -1.
3+. Oh, it did a wound.
Yeah, 1 damage. And then the charge phase where the Terminators are going to charge the Wraith Guard. They're in with an 8. The Terminators going in, trying to arrange them so that the ones I'm going to lose first will not be on the objective. So I'll start with the Chain Fist because it's the worst weapon in this case, but he might get a kill. 3 attacks on 4s. He got a hit. Strength 8 will be 3s, goes to 4s. That's a wound at -2.
4+ save, made that.
Oh. 3 Power Fists on 3s. 5 hits, wounding on 4s again. That's 3 at -2.
4s. Oh, 2 go through, so 1 will destroy the one that's on 2 wounds, and then another will be down to 1 wound.
And then 4 attacks on the Cursed Weapon, get 2. And wounding on 5s. No.
And 9 attacks back on 4s. 6 hits, wounding on 4s though, because they're tough as 5 on the Terminators, only 3. No AP.
2+ saves, made them all.
That's another quick turn, on to Aeldari turn 3. Fortune was successful again, put that on the Wraith Guard again to keep them alive longer, and then the Guardians have moved out from behind the box where they can all see the Legionaries. They pass their battle shock test again, and they'll shoot.
So I'm going to spend a command point to go to ground for the Legionaries so they get cover.
Yeah, Star Cannon, which hits on 3s, only hit once. I think I'll re-roll that. Oh, no, still missed. 2 to wound. I'll use the 2 fate die to do that, I think. So -3.
4+ save. 5, sorry. You know what, I'll re-roll that. No.
Eldritch Storm. There were 5 members of the unit, so this will be +1 shot. No, 2, and I've used my reroll. 3s, 1 and 3. Wounded. This is -2.
So this is a 4+. Made it.
And 6 shuriken catapults. Well, they all hit. 4s, 2.
3+ saves. They both.
Not going to charge, that would be a bad idea, so we're back to combat where the Terminators get to go.
I'll start with the Champion's Accursed Weapon because it only does 1 damage and there's a Wraith Guard on 1 wound. 4 attacks on 3s and they will hit. 5s. 1 wound at -2.
4 to save. Oh, yeah.
Chain Fist on 4s, 2 hits. And 4s, 2 wounds at -2.
4s. That takes out the damage Wraith Guard now.
And then 9 Power Fists on 3s and 4s. Ugh, nothing.
Ah, so 6 attacks back. 4 hits. 4s to wound though. 1.
2+. Made it.
But that'll be the end of Aeldari turn 3. On to Chaos turn 4.
In the command phase, the Legionaries did have to make a battle shock test, and they actually failed, even though Leadership 5, so I had to use my command point for Insane Bravery, because we're using the stratagems we're given by the magazine, so that's how it works. And then they're just going to move, so we've been an inch away from the Guardians, still within 3 inches of the objective 2, and you might as well fire our pistols at the Guardians. Bolt pistols on 3s, well, we got 1. That wounded.
4+. Oh, killed 1.
Plasma pistol not supercharged, hits. Wounds on a 2, it does.
I'll use a 6 to pass the save.
Oh. And the melter gun, miss.
And I actually put the wound on the heavy weapons platform so that we don't lose a model.
And we're easily in. So charging Legionaries get to go first. 3 attacks from the melter gun close combat weapon on 3s, getting 2. Strength 4 is wounded on 3s, goes to 2s because of the... Oh, never mind, even the Dark Apostle shouting at him didn't help. 8 attacks from chain swords. There we go. 7 hits, wounding on 2s as well. That's 6 at -1.
I've got 4 wounds of Guardians left, which will be on 5s. Oh, we made 2, so the heavy weapons platform is destroyed and we lose a Guardian. And 2 left. Oh, they both die as well, so it's just the Farseer left.
I'll do the Dark Apostle. 5 attacks on 2s. Ooh, missed twice. And 2s. Only wounded twice.
4+ invulnerable saves. I'll use a Fate die to pass one of them, and then the other one failed, but I'll re-roll it. Into success.
And then the cursed weapon from the champion on 3s, 2 hits. Wounding on 2s. 2 wounds on the Farseer.
4s. Failed 1. Takes a wound. Yeah, so just the Farseer left up there, but I'll actually pick the Wraith Guard to fight against the Terminators. And they got 2 wounds with no AP.
Oh, took a wound. Terminator with the Chain Fist takes a wound, and then he'll fight backs. Chain Fist man missed. Regular Power Fists on 3s. 6 hits, wounding on 4s. We got 2 at -2.
4s. Failed both. That will destroy a Wraith Guard.
And the accursed weapon hits 3 times. 5s, wounds once at -2.
Saved. Finally, the Farseer fights back. Well, they both hit. I'll use this 6 to automatically wound, and then we get a... Nope, not only 1 wound. No P.
Saved.
And that's it at the end of Chaos Turn 4, but I'll just concede there I have a Farseer and a Wraith Guard left, neither of whom is holding an objective, so Chaos Space Marines are already 10 victory points ahead, and they're going to get another 10 in their final turn, whereas I'm not going to get anything, so it's obviously going to be a Chaos Space Marine victory, and we'll recap that for you now. So that was the game for issue 40 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine. How did you think that went?
Went pretty well, to be honest. I think it went much better than the previous game where the Wraith Guard were produced, basically because I got them into melee and bogged them down for the entire game, and being able to get all of my guys on the objectives as well. I think it's going to be very tough for the Aeldari too. Maybe if you went first and could shoot at my guys, but I mean you got to shoot at them anyway, so...
Yeah, my shooting wasn't great either. Go to ground is actually quite helpful when you're being shot at with a lot of AP -1.
Yeah, and having only 1 unit on the board as well, I get the most efficiency out of command points.
Then again, I don't really want to get close to you with either of these 2 units, whereas you're quite happy for either of your units to be in melee, so taking objectives is always going to be a little bit difficult with this.
Yeah, even regular Chaos Marines with bolt guns can easily beat Guardians in melee, so yeah. The Terminators still made fairly heavy weather getting rid of the Wraith Guard, although Fortune does help out a lot. If you get enough wounds through, even a 2+ save will go down eventually.
But the Terminators certainly did show what they could do. They're basically exactly the same unit as the Space Marine Terminators. They have a slightly different heavy weapon, and they have a Chain Fist in melee.
Yeah, until we learn Dark Pacts, that's where they'll shine. I would expect they were intended to have an invulnerable save, because otherwise they're not really that much tougher than the Havocs. Them not having Deep Strike, I can see. I think generally with Combat Patrol, if you compare the Combat Patrol stats to regular unit stats, they don't usually get rid of invulnerable saves, but they sometimes get rid of core rules like Deep Strike, so I think we'll probably play them with an invulnerable save and no Deep Strike. I think giving them Deep Strike might actually make the Chaos Combat Patrol a bit too good, because you've already got a big squad of Marines.
And as we've seen, Deep Strike is not always super useful on this size of board anyway. Sometimes it's just nicer to have your unit on the board already. Compared to the Space Marine Combat Patrol, the Terminators do fulfill a slightly different role in the Chaos one though, because in the Space Marine combat patrol is built around the Terminators and getting them as strong as possible to just walk across the board and kill everything. With the Chaos one, you've got more legionaries to soak up fire and take objectives, and you'd also have the Hellbrute, which is a big tough distraction thing. So the Terminators are not quite so important.
Yeah, because they replace the Havocs. I mean, if you took the Havocs, it is tempting to run the legionaries as a big squad and have the Havocs hang back to hold an objective because they don't want to be in melee at all. Whereas I guess if you're running Terminators, perhaps you'll split the legionaries so you have more flexibility for taking objectives, and the Terminators can be a big forward distraction. They definitely want to be in melee.
Yeah, they don't have the amount of firepower the Havocs do, though all the combi box shots are still quite good against things like Guardians or Termagants.
Yeah.
Obviously, they don't have the Fury of the First or the benefit of Oath of Moment like the Space Marine ones do, nor indeed the stratagem that the Space Marine Terminators get that makes them even more powerful. So to some extent, they're never going to look comparatively as good as the Space Marine ones. But as I said, the Chaos Combat Patrol isn't built around them in the same way the Space Marine one is, so they don't have to perform. And they don't actually have a unit special rule at all. I think in the full rules they get something where they get +1 to wound if you put
yes, if they use their Dark Pacts, they get +1 to wound, which I guess is a more flexible version of what the Terminators have, because the Terminators only affects the Oath of Moment target, whereas Dark Pacts you can do whenever you want. Obviously, this kit is the full multi-part kit, so it did come with parts for combi weapons and so forth, but combi weapons, to be honest, aren't really that good. I mean, this loadout is actually a pretty decent one. You have the option for a heavy flamer instead of the autocannon, which is probably the option I would pick, actually. But the repair autocannon's okay. I mean, it's basically a slight side grade of the assault cannon where it has sustained hits 1 but fewer shots. The extra AP is very helpful. The chain fist is useless when your opponent doesn't have vehicles, and it's worse than a power fist, but there are some cases where you might want the chain fist to help cut out vehicles.
Yeah, because you can have more recursive weapons as well in the unit, but I think the power fist is just mostly better. It's 1 fewer attack, but it's a much better one.
And also this kit was relatively recent. It's about the time the Legionaries were redone, but it was made before the new Space Marine Terminators, so if you put them side by side, the Chaos ones will look a bit small, basically because they haven't got an abdomen and they're a bit hunched over, although their trophy racks do help give them more height.
Yeah, and all the tusks and things, they give them a different silhouette. And they have fairly decent dynamic poses where they're mostly striding forward.
Yeah, definitely the ones with the combi bolsters look like they're firing them as they're advancing. Yeah, a bit of a challenge to paint, simply because you've got to get in amongst all the trim and paint all the trophy racks. But they do look very good when they're done.
And of course, just like the Wraith Guard, this is a fantastic saving. If you want 5 Chaos Terminators, you get them in one issue, because this kit is, I think, £40 from the Games Workshop store, so this is a quarter of the price. It seems to be how they're doing these bonus units, is come in one issue, which makes them really good value, but also really hard to find in the shops, because everyone wants them. So if you're in a place where this issue hasn't come out yet, then be prepared to go and grab one. And of course, earlier we had a look at the whole collection. Obviously, differently to previous magazines, we haven't got anything more for the factions we covered in the first 20 issues. Instead, we've got 2 new factions, which a different way of doing it, but it does give you a good starting point for both of these armies. I think slightly better certainly than the Space Marine one, as we said, getting 3 characters and only 2 units wasn't brilliant.
The Chaplain on bike doesn't really do it. Whereas the Chaos one definitely, lots of good heavy infantry.
And a vehicle, and only 1 character. Obviously, if you've got the premium, you will have got the Demon Prince as well, so you get a second character. But yeah, it's actually a really quite a good starting point for a Chaos Space Marine army. There's all sorts of ways you could go with it. Not only do you get the combat patrol with an extra unit, it's also a good start for an army. And I think same with the Aeldari. Again, you only get 1 character, you get 4 different units. And again, the Aeldari range is really big. You can expand that in quite a number of different ways. You can go more Wraith units, you can go more Guardians. There's also Aspect Warriors that, again, if you have the premium, you'll get a unit of Howling Banshees to go with that. But I think that will be it for this issue. So let us know what you think in the comments below. If you've been collecting this and you've finished up all your combat patrols, let us know how you've been getting on with them. If you did enjoy the video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next issue where we'll be beginning another combat patrol.
Bye for now.